So, we made it all the way to Amy's dad's. Last but not least, I got to run through all the stables, tell you what's up with them. Now, I did miss one last week. I missed Carmen's barn with Maintenance Man. We'll talk about him in a minute. Let's start with Mario's barn. Mario's got some horses that are in, some yearlings he's going to be taking care of. Now, the one thing I need everybody to understand, and I tell this to everybody all the time, that everybody's like, well, what stables Walk on the Moon going to, and this one going to? They're all under me, right? And that's the most important part of the stable is Amy and I are going to train down all the babies, right? I'm going to be in charge of the way they train, the way they're hung up, the way they're shod. And then when they qualify in June, then we'll send them out to prospective stables. Now, last year we sent Capistrano and a couple of the other horses out a little earlier because those stables got down on numbers. And it was either lay off a groom or spread some other horses around. And that's what we did, which was perfectly fine. At that point, they're already April or June. It's really just training them the same way and getting them in shape. So that's what we're going to do this year. Also, is that the 53 stalls in the Tarp Barn will be full of yearlings. If there's any spillover, let's word that properly. Shed Row 5, Danny's going to be in charge, and there's going to be horses in there. James is going to be in charge of Shed Row 2 up in the top barn, and Mario will be in charge of most of the horses in Shed Row 1. Now, having said that, they're still underneath me, right? I'm going to make up the set lists. We're going to make sure that I go with the horses, and it's not that I do a better job, but the stable.ca runs on a few key principles, and the horses are trained down the way that I want to train them down. And no disrespect to any of the other trainers that we hire, but they all come with their own way to train horses, and that isn't how we do it there, right? We train them in sets of 6 or larger. We train them a certain way, and we do train them hard. And I firmly believe, you look at football, baseball, basketball, and look how hard those athletes train. Athletes are meant to train hard, right? This isn't a chess or checkers. This is a very athletic sport, and you have to have your horses fit, smart, ready to race. And I believe ours were. I think the changes we made last fall were very important, where we didn't train the horses hard in June. Now, people might say, well, yeah, they might be fresh now, but they aren't gold horses, because they weren't good enough to be gold horses. We hope they were. But as I tell people all the time and time again, I can't control what other horses are like. I can control what our horses are. Our horses can be as good as they can possibly be. That doesn't mean that they're going to beat everybody else's good horses. So I think we had a pretty good year. A horse like Capistrano stayed in the grassroots, made 40, could have made more had she stayed sound all the way through the whole year. Wiggle Delight had a decent year. Canadian Titan had a great year, 50-some thousand made. Miss Brampton Beast has got 20-some thousand on her card. Same as Frontier Cruise, he's knocking on the door, 20,000. Sunshine and Shade starting up now. I just ran through all Mario's barns. Let's do it again. Wiggle Delight racing tomorrow night. I watched her train the other day. She trained good. She got a favorable position. I hope she races very well tomorrow night. Canadian Titan is now out in the field. She's done for 2 months. Well deserved, I would think. The only time she missed the board was one time. The only time she missed the top 2 was twice. So I think Canadian Titan quietly had a fantastic year. Her brother is selling, coincidentally, in the London sale on Friday or Saturday or Sunday, one or the other. Miss Brampton Beast been hanging around a little bit. Really spoiled a couple of wins her last 2 starts. I think she was a winner in both her last 2 starts, and really just kind of hung like a grape. And we need to change that. I think that can be changed. A little bit of stubbornness and a little bit of greenness, but hopefully we can chip away at that. Enduring Strength's going to race next Thursday. He trained well yesterday also. Frontier Cruise raced well, and I made no qualms about it. I was not going to apologize for leaving with Frontier Cruise. I've seen the movie where you take him back and race him from off the pace, and it's not a bestseller. So I think, yeah, he ended up 9th, but he passed a horse down the lane, or 8th maybe? He passed a horse down the lane, didn't embarrass himself, and I think it stretched out good for next week's Harvest Series elimination. Sunshine and Shade was a little bit sick, a little congested his last start, and showed up, raced a little flat. He'll race next week. We've been treating him all week. He'll race next week, next Thursday, in the first leg of the Harvest Series. Also, be back in a minute. We have Jason's barn, Harry's barn, Kevin's barn, all the small barns. There's no real point in talking about Anthony's barn this week, as we now have 52 yearlings on site, and we'll make a yearling list up and talk about them in that regard. So I'll be back in a minute with Jason, Harry, Kevin, and a bunch of smaller brands coming at you in just a second.